Today, we're going to be talking about 5 benefits of an uncontested divorce. Hi, I'm Max Ruthenberg-Marshall, founder of Porchlight. You might be wondering whether an uncontested divorce is the right path for you and your spouse. Let's start by defining what an uncontested divorce is. An uncontested divorce is where you and your spouse agree to all the terms of your divorce and sign all the necessary documents prior to filing your case. So then everything's already agreed to and your case can proceed smoothly through the process to be signed off on by a judge. One benefit of an uncontested case is the speed of the process. An uncontested divorce is a lot faster than a contested one. A contested divorce can last many months or even several years. I'm guessing you probably don't want to be in the divorce process for that long. In comparison, an uncontested divorce can be done in under 2 months. Here in Georgia, we do have a 30-day waiting period after the case is filed. This means that once you file, the judge has to wait 30 days before they can sign off and finalize your divorce. That's the part of the process you don't control. But the rest of the timeline is under your control. It's going to take you at least a few weeks to discuss all the terms with your spouse, reach an agreement, get them drafted by an attorney, and signed off on. It can take longer than that, depending on how much you and your spouse have to discuss and how close you are in agreement when you start the discussions. Even if it takes long for an uncontested divorce, it's still going to be a lot faster than the contested divorce process. A second benefit of an uncontested divorce is the ease of the experience. Compared to a contested divorce, there's just so much less to do in an uncontested divorce. Contested litigation can be extremely stressful. Most people aren't familiar with the process. It's just not something that they've ever gone through before. With a contested case, you could be filing and responding to motions, filing and responding to discovery, which is just producing so many records related to your life, and most people feel like it's a huge privacy violation, but it's not something you can get out of. Attending mediation, attending any court dates, working with your attorney to practice for trial. There are so many components to it, and you can avoid all of those with an uncontested divorce. With an uncontested divorce, the process is simple. There are just 2 steps. Reach an agreement with your spouse, file the case in court. That's all you have to do. A third benefit of an uncontested divorce is the lower cost. This is a big favorite with most clients. A contested divorce can be extremely expensive. Depending on how much conflict there is in your case, it can be tens of thousands of dollars, and it can get really high up there. There are even cases that go into the 6 digits. You probably don't want to spend that much money on your divorce. I'm not saying that an uncontested divorce is going to be cheap. You still want to hire a quality attorney who can draft the documents for you and make sure that you're considering all the possible options and variables and that you've come up with a good agreement. Compared to a contested divorce, an uncontested divorce costs a lot less. A fourth benefit of an uncontested divorce is that you have more control. You have more control both over the process and also over the actual terms of your agreement. Anytime you and your spouse can reach an agreement on the terms, whether you're doing it as an uncontested or you've already filed as contested and you're working to negotiate an agreement, you're going to have more control over the details of that agreement than if you went in front of a judge. You can just tailor things and customize them better and decide which areas you want to compromise on and which areas you're not willing to compromise on if you're negotiating with your spouse than if you're leaving it up to a stranger to decide your future. A lot of people can feel overwhelmed by the contested litigation process because there's so much to it. It adds up to so much money. It's just not something that they expected or were prepared for. So by going through the uncontested process instead, you regain a lot of that control. The fifth and final benefit of an uncontested divorce that we're going to discuss today is that an uncontested divorce is a much more amicable process. If you have children, this is particularly important. You're going to have to get along for the rest of your children's lives. Even after they grow up and become adults, you will probably still see each other occasionally because of your children. And you want to be able to get along at those and not have burned bridges, terrible conflict where you can't even have a civil conversation with each other. So the uncontested process is a way to keep it more amicable because you're not going into all those hostile litigation situations. But even if you don't have children, having a hostile and antagonistic divorce is stressful and unpleasant. So you don't want to have a knockdown, drag-out fight if that's not something that has to happen. If you can be friendly and respectful of each other, you can both work productively to reach an agreement so you can move positively forward into your futures. There's no need to cause hostilities and conflict that just causes stress and unpleasantness in your life. So why not keep the experience amicable if you can? With the uncontested process, because you're working to agree on everything before the case is filed, it's just easier to be more considerate of other people's feelings. And because the case is shorter, you don't have time to get upset about as many things. You're working towards that mutual goal of keeping the process uncontested. I hope you found these benefits helpful and interesting, and they've made you strongly consider if you and your spouse might be able to reach an uncontested divorce. For help with your uncontested divorce and keeping things civil and amicable, Porchlight is here to help.